welcome back. Or if it's your first time watching this podcast, welcome. If you are a person that watch regularly, welcome back, the 1%er. On today's podcast, we'll be looking at one book that I truly loved. I read it last year and it completely changed the way I think. It's called The 38 Letters of J.D. Rockefeller to His Son. And by the way, if you guys are finding value in this video, thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Like always, we are joined by the one and only Crispy Q. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing absolutely splendid today. I'm just very blessed and pleased to be here with my good man.
Let's do it.
The things that matter.
Let's do it. Things that matters. But before any of this, we're gonna have a quick intro video. All right. Well, Q, could you tell me what are the things that you truly, truly love about this book?
Well, there was a few things about the book, as you said, right? It's the type of book that really, truly has like an impact on the way that you think. For those of y'all who aren't necessarily as familiar with the book, it's kind of written in the frame of Rockefeller, John Rockefeller, sending letters to his son, pretty much just giving him like life lessons and advice on how he got to the point in which he was at that time, which was the richest man on the face of the earth. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is the fact that he doesn't exaggerate the importance of goals, but he cares a great deal about the function of purpose. Now, when looking at like my own life, right, it's like I'm more of a goal-oriented person, but I would say maybe a little bit earlier on. And by the way, I've always been a goal-oriented person, but I'd say probably a bit earlier on, like when I was a bit younger, it was more so about the goals than about what was behind those goals. So, I have, my little goals here and there. Do like an example, baseball, right? It's like, or even better example, basketball, because I used to play basketball back in high school, right? I have different goals on like how to, what I wanted to achieve, how smooth I wanted my handles, how high I wanted to be able to jump, things of that nature. And the overall goal was to, make the basketball team and be a productive player with that team. But what I was kind of lacking was the purpose behind why I wanted to do that, right? So it's like I had the goals and I was doing the goals, but because I didn't really have like a true like purpose behind such a thing, the fervency to be able to do such a thing was somewhat lacking a little bit. And so had my experiences with that, but definitely tried to learn from it, like going in things forward. Also played baseball and kind of learned from that experience to where it's like now, after that, when I was like on my baseball grind and still on my baseball grind, having like the central purpose forefront in my mind and surrounding my goals around that purpose helps me to be a lot more successful and a lot more efficient in what I have going on. It's not just empty work. It's more so purposeful work, although it may not be as long, although I may not be like, if you're a baseball player, you got to have that time in the batting cages, right? I may not be in the cages for like 3-4 hours a day, but in the time that I am there, it's purposeful and I'm able to get the job done. And I've seen results from that.
I see. So then you say that you've seen results, right? And so just you doing baseball, right, before and now that you've added purpose to why have you doing it, have you seen like how much result more, how much more productive you've been?
It's a great question, Sam. And I would say that I think the production or the difference comes in like the details. Cause it's like I was always like a productive baseball player. I was always like good on the field. But it's like there would be like little things that I would be somewhat like missing out on, right? Now that I'm a lot more purpose oriented behind what I do, it's like I'm able to kind of fine tune the little things. And for anybody who's in sports knows the difference between a professional level player and an amateur level player is the focus on the little things. So that's what I would say is the biggest thing.
Nice, great. And so one of the things that truly stood out for me in this book, JD Rockefeller says you have the power to create your own destiny. Bro, that is so good. You have the power, right? You listening to me, you have the power to create your own destiny. And so I remember a few years ago, I was at church and there was a person that saw me, and he probably, I don't know why, but he invited me to come to his place the next day. And so I did show up and started like chatting, getting to know each other a little bit more. And of course now, I mean, he's since that time he's been a great mentor to me, right? And he's the one that introduced me to the whole concept of like you have you have the power to create your own destiny. He talked to me about his personal life and how he implemented those principles into what he does. And as a result, he was incredible. He's actually very successful right now. And so from that day, he gave me an assignment. He said, Sam, go back and work on your life plan. Before that, I never had it, right? I was just like freestyling, of course, doing my best and all that. But I went back home, created a whole plan for my life, right? Starting off, think I had it in 2021. And so I have things planned out until year 60. If I'm still able to live until then, that'll be great. But you have the power, right? We just have the power to create our own destiny. And so I felt complete difference, right? Because now everything that I do is articulated towards the bigger goal, and that makes a whole difference. And then something else JD Rockefeller says in the book is like luck is something that happened is not luck is not something that happened by chance. It's something we can plan for and design your destiny, bro. That was so good. When I read that, I'm like, wow, this is so powerful.
No, that is definitely huge. So like what would you say? I'm curious. Can you give like one example in that plan, that life plan that you have, and how did you utilize the principle of planning around the purpose to come to that conclusion on what you wanted in that life plan?
Yeah, so what I've been intentional about doing, for example, the beginning of the year, I spent probably 3 hours just planning my whole year, right? What are the different books I like to read? What are the different conferences? What are the people I like to network with, and so forth. And so all of that planning turns around the bigger picture. And so, of course, like now some opportunities show up, the different things that can be done. But then I ask the question, right? Does this fall into the bigger picture of what I want to do? And so having clarity on the bigger picture helps you to say no faster or yes faster, because it's either it falls into what you want to do or not. That's it, bro. It's either fall or not.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that is one of the massive things about creating that plan. I've never actually heard of like planning out the entire year like that. You know what I mean? Um, that might be something that I might have to try out for sure, because that seems like it would be a very it'd be a very smart thing to do because it's like you have somewhat of like a roadmap to follow as you go throughout the year. You know what I mean?
Exactly, bro. So right now, right, if somebody says, Sam, let's take a trip to let's say Houston, Las Vegas, I'll be like, no. I mean, no. Like it's a quick no because it's not part of the plan, right?
For
But
sure.
if
Yeah.
somebody talks about like let's go elsewhere, I mean, I won't mention here the trips I have planned. I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it takes away, it saves you a lot of times, and it also gives you clarity, right? And it helps you actually to like plan financially, think about like times off and all that. It truly helps. It makes a huge difference planning things ahead. So as a 1%, this is my challenge for you guys. Go ahead, plan your whole year. If it means spending 3 hours intentionally just planning it, go ahead, it's definitely worth it.
No, for sure. And going along with that point, the another thing that in the book I kind of read that stuck out to me was, and this is pretty much a direct quote. It says, "A brain that wants to achieve great things but doesn't know how to think is just a bucket of cheap paste."
Bro, run that back.
A brain that wants to achieve great things but doesn't know how to think is just a bucket of cheap paste.
Sheesh.
So the first thing that came to mind when thinking about that was, why paste? You know, it's kind of a random thing to compare the mind to. But when thinking about just like the nature of that statement, that's very true. You know, that's very true. I'm sure that every one of you 1%ers can know certain people that always say that they want to do this, always say that they want to do that, but never actually put in the plan or put in the work to actually do it. And no shade to them, right? But that's not a mentality. That's not a place that we really want to be at. The most important thing to do is to know how to think. And so I would say that like within like my own life, when I could go in a different approach with this, right? Because again, like I told you guys, I was always goal oriented. I always had like drive, but the not knowing how to think part came more from like a worrying type of standpoint, right? So it's not like when you're going towards your goals, you should have like a mindset of confidence, of self-assurance, and overcoming like doubt, right? And it's like, even though I had like the ambition, I didn't always have like the confidence that I would actually achieve it, and I didn't always have the boldness to overcome doubt that tries to creep in whenever you're going towards the goals. And so one of the things that really helped me with that is, along with the overall goals that I was trying to achieve, creating goals around attacking those mentalities and trying to switch it to a mentality that actually will produce great results. That also was something that truly gave me a leg up ahead of, you know, maybe a lot of people that didn't necessarily have the same mentality as I did. So that was another thing that truly stuck out to me in this book.
Yeah, bro, that's very good. And something that I read from that book too, it says the level of confidence determines the level of achievement.
Did you say the level of confidence?
Yeah,
Oh,
bro.
wow, that fits like a piece of the puzzle. You feel what I'm saying?
We have to like just sit for a moment with that statement. Guys watching, you have to sit a little bit with that statement. That is deep. And exactly what you shared is exactly what the principal J.D. Rockefeller's mentioned, right? Because there's a lot of people that are like very talented, but what they lack is that confidence, and that confidence can make a huge, bro, just huge difference. I know it can be stressful, probably standing on stage, and even, bro, even us, right? Like doing this podcast, not like with crazy confidence, bro, but you just like you just do it, just show up and just do it, right? And then with time you actually get better. So you guys watching, like, confidence, have confidence, and confidence come with like those little wins, right? That you can gain, but also just telling yourself that I can do it.
So let's say that I am a 25-year-old recent graduate that's going into a massive investment firm. Everybody's more experienced than I am. Everybody has more of a feel of the industry than I do. How do I go into that with confidence? Like, I'm say that I'm like really, really, truly struggling. I have some knowledge, but I'm truly struggling with feeling like I belong there. How do I get that confidence?
Right. So what I would say though is that you have firstly to understand where you are, right? Because part of creating a plan, right, is understanding firstly where are you, right, and what needs to be done. So obviously, like, you might not necessarily have the confidence per se, but you have to tell yourself that I am the best in your mind. You start with telling yourself, or at least saying, I might not be the best now, but in 3 years I might be the best, right? So kind of how it works is that you craft a plan on how can I be the best within 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, whatever, right? And bro, if people work for like five, let's say 8 hours, bro, go for 1 more hour, right? If they pick up one course, go for two. Bro, within 5 years, 6 years, you might be the best in your industry. But it's just like those little wins, doing the extra thing that actually makes difference. So yeah, that'll be my answer to that. Having that dog, bro, that resilience, that makes a huge difference.
Having that prime Kobe mentality, you show up to the gym
Exactly.
at 3 a.m. in the morning and get that
Exactly.
work in.
That's the only way, right? And so one thing that stood out to me, right, is another thing was like, people do not judge you based on the ideas you have in your head, but based on your action. Because as you mentioned, right, a lot of folks just have like ideas, right? But as one of my mentors told me, Sam, nobody cares about your ideas. Like, nobody cares, bro. Like, nobody cares. All they cares about is like the execution. And I think that's one thing that create, right, that separate people, right? Because a lot of people again have and not trying to throw shade ideas, but can you actually execute it? And people that can actually execute are actually, like, they get paid because
Well,
they execute.
well, yeah. The people who execute are the people that get paid, which goes into my third point. When you have money, you can benefit the people around you and society as a whole. And I thought that this was huge because it's a it's a common occurrence that I've kind of seen in society to demonize people who have like a lot of money. And granted, right, there could be some people who've gotten their money by not the best means. But I think one thing that people fail to mention is that with all that money naturally comes the propensity to be able to change things at a larger scale. And so in that particular part of the book, it's like Rockefeller, he was talking about how he was approaching that point just like that, like about how you shouldn't necessarily demonize money. In the Bible, and he brings it up in the Bible, he says that it gets misconstrued. The verse, "The love of money is the root of all evil." People tend to understand that as money is the root of all evil, when what it actually says is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And what that means is money shouldn't be put in the place of God, but money should be seen as a means to help other people. I honestly just thought that that was a very, very key point right there. And that is one of the reasons. And I think that also kind of connects back to like what we were talking about a little bit earlier with like the purpose thing. That's why it's so important to have the purpose defined early on, so that when you get financially blessed, you'll know exactly what to do with that money, you know?
Yep, 100% agree. 100% agree. And so my one of the things to that so that to me is like, and I'm quoting of course from the book, it says many people want to wait until everything is right. Bro, sometimes just start. Like, not everything needs to be right. Just start doing things, right? Because as you do, right, you start building the momentum and a lot of things start making sense. And the way I think about it is like, bro, like we literally started this podcast, right, with no mic and just our phones, right? But then if we waited for everything to make sense, maybe who knows? We might never have started, right? And so, guys, watching is like whatever you have, just start with what you have. Look at what is in your hand and just get started. Simple as that, right? It can be maybe you have a good network of people that you know, reach out to them. Maybe you're good at, I don't know, talking, you're an athlete. Just start with what you have instead of focusing on what you do not have, right? So, yeah, and so let's move on to your top 5 things that really stood out to you, like top 5 picks. We'll call it that, with top 5 picks.
So, pick number whoa, sorry. Pick number 1. People typically run with excuses on why they can't do something until it's too late, or until they're not able to do it anymore. And that kind of goes to your previous point of just start, because all the excuses really don't help.
Right. And I actually kind of had at that point also written down.
Indeed.
Say great mind think alike, right? And so what what he mentioned is like, do not make excuses. Excuses are the source of failure. Excuses, I'm going to say that again. Excuses are the source of failure. And he says 99% of failure are due because people like making excuses, bro. I remember listening to this quote sometimes last year, at the end of last year, and I told myself, Sam, no more excuses, bro. Even if the excuse makes sense, no more excuses, because what will end up happening is that your excuses, you run those excuses so much in your mind that they actually become a reality of why things cannot be done. Or even if it's just an excuse, by repeating that, your mind starts thinking that that is actually reality when it's just an excuse. So that's something I actually like.
And I think that in just, knowing you don't really be making no excuses for real. Like,
Try not to.
I'm about to say, you be getting things done, bro. You be getting things done. Which goes to my second point. If people believe that they can't do great things, then they typically can't. In the word, in the Bible, it says, so as a man thinketh.
Come on
so
now,
he
break
is.
it down.
You feel what I'm saying? So that connects with a lot of what we were talking about in truly why it's so important to have the confidence, because if you know that you're him for real, or you know that you're her for real, you're going to be the best version of yourself, or you're going to be significantly better than if you just think that you're buns, you think that you're not it for real.
Right, exactly. And so something I like mentioning is that, we were created in the image of God, right? And so since we are created in the image of God and God is excellence, therefore we have that aspect of excellence in us, right? And so one thing that I truly like, right, transitioning to something else, he says, um, that's direct quote from him. He say, "Am I using my mind to create history, or is it just creating the history made by others?" Bro, bro, and that is something I think everybody needs to just sit down and really think. Right? Am I just talking about history, or am I trying to create that history? Am I memorizing or studying what happened in the past, or am I trying to create and shape a brighter future? So that was good.
That is huge. That is huge. Another one, right, is those who approach tasks with dedication will have much better results than smart but lazy people. In the book,
Bro, hold on. You might need to run that back. I'm sorry. That was so good.
I got you. Those who approach tasks with dedication will have significantly much better results than smart but lazy people, right? And so it's like in the book, Rockefeller says he'd rather have somebody who's committed and has that dog in him. And I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he'd rather have somebody who's committed and has that dog in him than like a master's graduate from Harvard that doesn't really have that drive to compete. You know, it's massive to have that dedication within you.
Exactly. And I think something that he did mention in the book is that a lot of things, a lot of great things that has been done in this world were done by people who were doing it the first time. And the reason why they were able to achieve it is because they had that drive, they had that dog, right? And so I did mention 5 points, but I just realized I have 4 points. So my last point will be enthusiasm and interest are key to success. Bro, okay, bro. Bro, are you ready to hear what's coming next? With some hit?
I'm ready. I'm ready to hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
All right. He says an average talented person who is optimistic, positive, and cooperative towards the world will earn more money, right? As compared to a talented but pessimist, passive, and uncooperative person. Oof, that is so
That's
good,
real.
bro.
That's
That
real.
is so good because it got me thinking, right? So you can be like talent. Yes, everybody can be talented, right? But what can make you different or create that edge is optimistic, bro. And your willingness to just work with other people well. That will create an edge. And so, yeah, those are my 4 points. So,
Yes. So I I got two more. The first or the fourth one that I had was when it comes to money, never try to make all the money, but always leave some money to earn.
break that down, bro. Break it down.
So what that means, right, is that within like the context of an organization, when you're going through these different business opportunities, you want to think about what you can do to make the people that are under you more wealthy, you know, instead of being the type of CEO or the type of leader that just wants to make all the money for himself and wants to pay the people as little as possible. Because then that creates resentment amongst the people that are working for you, creates a worse company culture, and isn't really the greatest in the long run. And the last one that I had was, and this one was real.
I'm ready.
Yes, sir. Be nice to others when you go up because you will bump into them when you go down.
Yes, sir.
That was kind of sad, actually, because it says when you go down. Not everybody stays on the top of the mountain forever, right? You don't want to get to a point where you're so hubristic, you're so cocky that you treat the people that you've beat to the top as if they're worthless, you know? Because in the event that you do go down, you'll see those very people again. And those very people will not forget the way that you treated them while you were on your rise up. So that,
Humility, bro. Humility.
yeah, humility
Very
is massive.
Right.
As the word says, it probably comes before the fall. We're not trying to fall. We're trying to build.
Exactly.
But that was, that's the kicker right there. That's the one that kind of encapsulates everything. None of that stuff will matter if you're not humble while doing all the successful things that God's placed in your life.
Right. I have one more thing though.
Yes, sir.
Just remember, it says opportunity are reserved for hardworking people. Opportunities are reserved for hardworking people. And so as you work harder, you're going to realize some opportunity going to come your way. So yeah, those are the things that really stood out for me from the book.
That sounds great. Was there anything else that you had before we close out this fantastic episode?
Well, I have different quotes still. One of them is concentration and perseverance will account for 95% of a person's ability. I want to read that again.
Please.
Concentration and perseverance will account for 95% of a person's ability, right? Because even myself, right, thinking about the different skills that I learned, I probably just tell myself, I don't think I can do it. Maybe not, maybe yes. But hey, then you realize, right, that ability or your success truly in achieving those tasks come from concentration and perseverance, right? Nothing come easy. Steph Curry, of course, today should, but through the half point line, but it didn't come easy, right? It came from like practicing, concentration, working on those little details as you mentioned, and then eventually now it makes sense. So, I mean, there's a lot, bro. This book is actually so good, but we'll let our viewers, guys, go ahead, read that book. It's such a great book. It can literally be transformative, and that's what we want for you guys.
That sounds great. So appreciate y'all for again spending another day with us, another episode with us. We genuinely appreciate you guys hanging out and being a part of the One Percenters. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. And we shall catch y'all in the next podcast.